New dates and deadlines to respond for Fani Willis in the Georgia elections interference trial as it relates to the allegations being leveled against her. Let's find out what's going on. Judge McAfee in the Georgia elections interference case has given DA Fani Willis a February 2nd deadline to respond to the initial motion to dismiss, actually, to the charges in that motion levied by Ashley Mershant, saying that there was an inappropriate relationship between the DA and the lead prosecutor, and how that affects the case, and why Michael Roman should be removed from this court proceedings and charges dropped. Not going to happen, but again, Judge McAfee went ahead and said, hey, District Attorney, you're going to have to respond to this, and then went further and said on February 15th, they're going to have an evidentiary hearing where the District Attorney's opponent in this matter, Ashley Mershant, is going to have to provide some evidence on why this allegation came up. It's interesting that I was doing a little research on this case, and today was also a time where DA Willis had to testify and was subpoenaed in the Nathan Wade divorce proceedings. Now, here's where things get a little tricky. I was under the impression that divorce was sealed. However, NPR has went ahead and released statements, and I'll copy the web link here. By the time you guys read it, it may have been pulled down. And I redacted some of the information that they put in this particular article concerning testimony. Again, under my understanding, that case is supposed to be sealed, and there's this the hearing to unseal doesn't happen for another 2 weeks. So my question is, if this was in fact sealed court proceedings, how did it get leaked to NPR? But that's another story for another day. The title of today's discussion is it wokeism or racism that's on trial here? Recently, there's been a lot of comments on how DA Willis addressed the complaints in the public when she appeared at the church and was talking about everything that happened. I had more comments on my thread that had to do with, animosity towards her. Not so much what she said or didn't say, but more to the point of why that venue and why she didn't answer the question, which is the elephant in the room. I was paying particular attention to what she said about why this particular this particular attorney, when in fact I had hired 3. Then there was questions made about the pay that each of these attorneys received, and there was an imbalance there. We printed the different amounts in that video, what was actually billed, and we went over the billing process. But more to the point, it started to me seems like, yeah, there is a racial component now. At least it's being articulated by DA Willis from her standpoint, and I am now tending to agree with that. I also wanted to talk about an article that I saw in the New York Post, and this one kind of goes to the heart of why I say our investments matter in this community. There was something nasty about a story that was ran on the Post, and I'm sharing that with you now. In it, the headline itself says that, Attorney Wade is leaving his office, and he's got a gun. Big bold letters. Huh? Well, Georgia is an open carry state, and as the lead prosecutor and the most polarizing presidential figure ever, I am quite sure that he is getting the same, if not more, death threats than DA Willis is, and she's been getting them daily. So much so that they have to assign a security detail to her at all times. This was no different from when Shay Mosley and Miss Ruby went through the same thing, and are, to my knowledge, are still being protected because of the death threats they were receiving. Let's not act like there was a this individual had a gun, but I was wondering, why did they focus on that gun? Why did they zoom in on that gun? They could have talked about those well-manicured fingernails holding that gun, but they focused in on that gun as if to say something. Now, in the article itself, it did highlight, oh, well, we're not trying to say that we're not trying to imply anything, but you actually did imply something. And then went further, doubled down on it. They talked about his car. They talked about the car that this 30-year lead prosecutor, law firm owning individual owned, and what he drove to the law firm that he owns. Then they mentioned the price of the vehicle. What are you saying about that? See, we see you. We see you. And we're reading this just like anybody else with a mindset that looks at these instances. Because what it says, for those of you who are too caught up in the minutia, what it says is that, yeah, that's a nice car. Maybe it's too nice for him. And this big bald black man with a gun in his hand. Now, that alone in some areas of this town can still get this man shot. They wouldn't know that he's the lead prosecutor. Just a man in a blue suit holding a gun, about to get into a very expensive car. Yeah, this is a problem. This is a problem. And the inferences being made by putting this out in the post surface, that's a problem. And it speaks to the racism that we're talking about. I know this post is going to get some backlash, and quite frankly, don't really care. And if you can look at that and say, oh, race was not an issue, then yeah, God bless. But at the same time, you're being deliberately obtuse, blind for whatever purpose of not even acknowledging this individual's right to carry and drive a car, any car that he can afford, with the money that he's being paid or has been paid. But I just found that a little bit problematic. Yeah, let me know what you think. And remember, as always, I'm not checking for you. Don't come for me. Not on this issue. I'll talk to you later.